In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish crisscross shirt. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. So let's start. So for this pattern, I'm gonna have to mark out my button allowance at the front, and you need about 1 inch because you'll be turning this with your lining. Next, I marked my shoulder to bust, under bust, waist and blouse length. So after you're done marking this, go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 and divided by 2 I have 7. I'll come down by 1 inch. Go ahead to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches and I'll connect. So after marking that, I'll come down and I'm going to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll place back my tape and mark what I have at the shoulder. Go ahead to connect. Now after I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to divide what I have here into 2 equal parts. Then I'll come out by ½ inch. On the chest line, I'll place my tape and mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll connect this all the way up and also connect at the lower part of this pattern. After I'm done connecting, I'm just going to go ahead to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. I'll go ahead to place my curve through and I'm going to connect. Now after I'm done connecting, I'm going to start by marking my darts. I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and I'm going to mark this from the upper part of my pattern to the lower part of my pattern, right? Then I'm going to place my ruler to draw a straight line connecting from the bust area down to the blouse length. So for the blouse length, go ahead and make use of any blouse length of your choice or add ½ inch after your waistline. So I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides of my waistline, which I'll be connecting to like 1 inch after the bust, and I'll extend this all the way down. After marking this, I'm going to go ahead to insert my body measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 here, and I will add my sewing allowance. I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4 and I'll pick the dart intake here, replace it by the side, add my sewing allowance. Now mark your waist circumference divided by 4, measure your dart intake. Go ahead to add your sewing allowance. After you're done marking that, at the blouse length or the shirt length, go ahead to measure your hip circumference divided by 4 and then add your sewing allowance. This is a shirt, so you're not supposed to like use much sewing allowance on it. I'll just go ahead and place my ruler and I'm going to connect, starting from the bust to the under bust to the waist and to the blouse length. Now after connecting, this is what I have. I'll get another pattern paper and I'll put underneath it. So instead of drafting a full pattern, I will use one side and cut, then turn it over to the other side and cut for the shirt, because we have 2 sides for that of the front. This is more like cutting your pattern on fold. Now I'll place this over here and I'll pin and trace out or cut out my pattern now. Before cutting my pattern, let's work on the lower part of this dress. I'll measure 1.5 here, or you can measure about 3.5 inches from the waistline, or choose any measurement of your choice. Come in by 1 inch at this point and go ahead to extend this. Now I'll be connecting this towards the side. I'll measure about 4 inches here and I will connect it to the length of this dress and creating a pointy tip at this point. So I'll just go ahead to outline my pattern. After outlining, I'll make a mark to indicate that I have a button at this point, right? Then I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. And also remember to place your pattern underneath it. That is your second pattern paper underneath. And after cutting out, I'll go ahead to unpin and bring this out. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead to mark out the button allowance and then trace out my neckline and then mark out the chest line and bust circumference at this part. Now I'll go ahead to pin this together. After pinning it from the neckline here, I'll start connecting towards the armhole of this part of the pattern. After marking at this point, I'll use my marker to outline. After outlining, I will now go ahead to start working on the other side. So from this shoulder part now, I'll measure about 2 inches or 1.5. Use any measurement of your choice there, but it should be between 1.5 to 2 inches. Then I'll start slanting it towards the lower part and then come down slightly towards your bust area and connect. So after connecting, at this point you'll be adding an extension towards the other side of your shirt, which I'll use my pin to hold this down. So you can add like 20, 25 or 15 inches long. It totally depends on what you want. Now I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out, and I'll also go ahead to trace out the other side of my pattern. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have on this side. So now I want to add like a dart. I'll come out a little towards the side. This to avoid gaping on your dress, I'll mark about 2 inches long and then mark ½ inch on both sides of this dart. Then I'll now go ahead to connect here and also connect here. Then I'll be blending this out. This is so that this part of your shirt will relax very well. If not, you might have gaping at that point. Now let's draft the back pattern. Now let's go ahead to draft the back pattern. Then I had to mark out a basic neckline of 3 by 1 inch, and I marked out the shoulder and found the chest line just like we did for the front. The next step I'll take is to start marking my dart, which I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. And I'm going to mark this all the way down. Go ahead to connect this all the way up. Now I'll be marking a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides and come down by 1 inch, and I'll be connecting. So if you don't want to add a dart to the back of this pattern, you can go ahead to cut it as a dartless pattern where you will not be adding dart for the back. All you have to do is to place and insert your body measurement. Here now I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Here I'll mark the hip circumference divided by 4, then add my sewing allowance. So for this pattern, when you're making it, go ahead to add any sewing allowance of your choice and go ahead to connect this. I'll connect all the way from the upper part, waist down to the blouse length, right? So after I'm done marking this, I'll just go ahead to outline the chest line. That is where I'll be connecting my pattern. So after I'm done marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. So for the back length, when you measure your shoulder to waist in front and the extra inches you have by the side, that is what you'll be using as the back length of your choice. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and this is what I have, right? So now you can go ahead to sew up your dart, or you can just cut this as a dartless pattern just like I said earlier.